All right, let's continue talking here. The last thing we talked about was this MPLS, just different encoding. But the main one we use out there is Ethernet. Some people think this is Ethernet, this stuff on the wall. What is this? Anybody know? It's Cat5 cable. It uses Ethernet, but Ethernet is not the cable. Some people say, well, go buy me some Ethernet. That's like, buy me an English language. You really can't buy Ethernet. You can buy some sort of medium to use Ethernet on, but you really can't do that. Okay? So it's the most popular networking technology for modern LANs. It is. It's very, very, very popular. Okay, very flexible. Can run over different media. So obviously we're talking here, it works on all kinds of different media. So it is not a media itself. Okay? Excellent throughput, but that also depends on your media. So what do you think one of the fastest media we have right now is? Fiber. Okay? What do you think one of the slowest we have is?
Copper dial-up.
Well, still dial-up can go over what though? I mean, so probably copper for dial-up. But how about wireless?
Satellite?
Actually, some of the satellites on the Carnival Magic, that internet was 20 times normal speed. It was enough for multiple people to stream Netflix all at the same time. So what they're doing is they're figuring out ways to do it. I told you about the guy transferring the movie from Germany, didn't I tell you? The Cisco guy?
Yeah, his iPad or something.
Yeah. So the whole point is we're figuring out better ways to use the stuff we have. Okay. So, yeah, wireless is slow. But, I remember watching a video, man, it was 8, 10, maybe 12 years ago. Probably about 10 years ago. It was by Microsoft. They were talking about the office of the future. They were talking about you walk in, instantly the lights turn on. Kind of have that already, don't we? And it says your computer automatically logs you in. Kind of have that already as well. They were talking about a lot of stuff that we already have today. And they were saying how the office of the future will be strictly wireless. Can y'all see that happening? I can. But we're getting to the point where, we all have laptops, I'm assuming. How many of you actually plug your laptop into a cable? I actually have a cable sitting right there on my laptop. But I don't plug it in. I could, but my wireless, I have wireless, and it's fast enough. It's at the point where it does what I need to do. And one of the main reasons I don't plug it in is when I take it to go on a trip, if I plug it in, I disable the wireless. Then I'm going to trip somewhere. I'm like, darn it, why is the internet working? And I go, oh, that's right. I disabled the wireless, and I got to turn it back on, so it saves a step. So the different medias out there, they vary. But I see, how about LTE? 4G LTE, the speeds down in Houston, that's where they got it's fully rolled out everywhere. The speed is amazing. Even here, on my cell phone, I can get 11 meg download speed. 11 meg is crazy fast for a cell phone. Can you imagine that 4 or 5 years ago? No. Back when remember when 3G just came out? What did we get on 3G? Like 200K, I think, something like that. I don't know what it was. But again, all that uses Ethernet. Okay? So excellent throughput, reasonable cost. Based on the media and your throughput, your cost goes up. Okay? We actually, Rose State's upping their bandwidth, so we're upping our throughput here. Everybody's always upping their bandwidth. It would be nice if we all could have fiber. Now, isn't it Fios? Who does that? Is that Verizon? Mm-hmm. They're actually doing fiber to the house. Is that right? In some areas, they're putting fiber all the way to the house.
That can't be cheap.
Yeah, but still, if you think about it,
No, AT&T does?
it could be. It could be too. I don't know. But if you have fiber to the house, but what about from where they connect on the outside of your house to your computer? Is that fiber? No. So there's always some little slow part somewhere. But I'd like to see fiber to my house.
Cards,
What now?
Fiber cards.
Fiber cards, but still, are they going to run fiber inside your house though? Probably not. They're probably still going to run Cat5 or something to connect you to the DMARC outside your house. Probably. Okay? A lot of different variations. They talk about shared common access, which was a CSMA-CD, which we're going to look at that. Okay. Carrier sends multiple access with collision detection. Okay. There's two different ones. We got CSMA-CD and CA. Okay? Let's talk about CD first, collision detection. The other one's collision avoidance. Collision detection is it controls how nodes access the channel necessary to share bandwidth. They sense, they listen for a collision. That's what we're using here. Okay? We listen for a collision. If we hear a collision, we stop for a length of time, a random length of time. I don't know exactly what that is. We stop every way. So if we have a collision, we all stop. And then we start up again. But we wait random lengths of time, so we're hopefully not all starting at the same time. So that's what CSMA CD is. Okay, multiple people can use it. Our cards themselves monitor the traffic. Now, kind of think of this like me going to Houston 2 weeks ago. Everyone remember what happened 2 Saturdays ago? It was the OU Texas game. It was Saturday at 11. I went to Texas Friday at 1, along with all of Oklahoma. We hit Denton, Texas, and stopped. I'm like, what the heck? So basically, each car, we had to all determine ourselves that there was traffic, and we all stopped, and I was in traffic for hours. Okay? So each of us were independently figuring out there was traffic. What if there was, we needed signs to say, dude, this is OU Texas game, bypass, it was terrible. But we didn't have that. So each of us had to do something. We all had to monitor the traffic. That's why I use that waves thing more now, because you can see what the traffic is way ahead of you. And, it's just, God, that sucked. I remember coming back from Six Flags one day, and I think it was during a race at the Texas Motor Speedway. I mean, there was literally people stopped on the highway with their folding chairs sitting beside their car. It was like, you ain't going nowhere. I went to Vegas a few years back, saw NASCAR at Vegas. And we were told, don't drive. Because if you go to drive your car to NASCAR at Vegas, take you 4 to 6 hours to get home. So I hired a helicopter. My travel agent told me it was like $150 a person, but I was going with just my son, so I figured it'd be something cool. So we met a helicopter right at the strip, flew us right into the race. At the end of the race, flew us right back, which was awesome. But I remember these guys left like 15 laps out. So they left early, obviously to beat the traffic. So they missed the end of the race. We waited for the end, flew back, and we all got to the restaurant at the same time. It was funny because we remember them leaving, and then they show up at the restaurant at the same time we did. So, but so I just, yeah, it was awesome. I mean, it was kind of no frills helicopter ride. In other words, they didn't. All right, now on the left side you got whatever. It was basically sit in, buckle up, shut up, and we're going. That's all it really was.
Helicopter.
Yeah, hey, it wasn't a helicopter, so it was cool. But so monitoring traffic and stuff. But that's what we use. It's the most popular out there. We're not really wasting any bandwidth managing traffic. We're all just listening, and if there's an issue, we stop and we go. Okay? Like, actually, someone I was reading an article about I-40. They've got those signs, those automated signs. Now I guess this is don't text week or something. You ever seen the signs this week? Don't text, whatever the heck it is. Stop texting or stop rex or something, whatever the heck it was. And someone put in a comment, was on the news saying, why are you wasting my time with stuff like that? So I wonder what those signs cost. They got to be tons of money. Got to be. So what are we using them for? To hopefully notify us of traffic accidents. But are they always up to date? No. I went to Tinker, come to Rose State, by Tinker a couple of weeks ago, and I hit Douglas, and it was like, stopped. Yet 8 miles earlier or 6 miles earlier, there was nothing. So they're not always up to date either. So traffic monitoring systems aren't all that great.
It's like that sign that says
Zombies
the Dallas exit freeze.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one's been there forever. The Dallas Junction has no delay or something.
Yeah.
I like the zombies ahead.
Somebody hacked it one of those that zombies ahead.
And when I thought that was really cool, it was over on I-44 by Airport Road. This was years ago. I don't know if somebody was there. They changed the speed limit. That's back when it was 55. They changed it to 54. No, they actually did. They redid the signs and everything. But it was awesome because you're so used to seeing 55. The moment you see something different, it stood out. And everybody saw there was a speed limit change. Where if it's just 55, you didn't ever notice it because every sign was 55. It was one of those deals, you didn't notice it. But yeah, they changed it to 54. So, all right, let's continue on. Okay, collisions. Says 2 nodes simultaneously check the channel, determine it's for free, begin transmitting. So, I'm going to send you something. I listen, hey, there's nothing going on right now, so I send you something, okay? If there's detection, says the main nodes respond to the collision, we all listen, okay? Then enable if it detects one and issues a 32-bit sequence number, indicates previous message faulty. In other words, there was a problem with it. I go out and say, hey, something happened with my message, there was a collision, then we all sit and wait, okay? All right, heavy traffic, there could be a lot of collisions, but that's not a big deal. So what happens when we have a collision? Say I'm sending you some packets and we have a collision today. What happens? Do we just like give up and go home?
No, waits.
We wait, but then we just resend whatever had an issue. There's always collisions. Earlier switches used to always show the collisions. Now only the expensive ones show it. Because the cheapest switches at your house, do you really need to see if there's collisions? No. It's not an issue. Okay? All right. Segment growth as performance suffers. We get more people on our network, what happens? Well, it's kind of like, if there's two of us in the room, or say there's one person in the room. If I was the only one in this room, could I talk continuously with no interruptions? I could. It'd be kind of weird, but I could. If I brought two of us in here, then the odds are we could actually start talking over each other, interrupting each other. So the more people we get, what happens? Then we have to take turns, and you can't talk as much. Okay? So the more we get, the slower we're going to get, the more collisions we're going to have. Okay? So basically, the critical mass is how much can we handle before we actually have issues. That's the reason we want to break our network into pieces. Okay? Can you imagine if the entire internet, only one person can transmit data at a time? No, it would be terrible. It would never work. Okay? They corrupt data. They truncate frames. Must detect and compensate. That's why we have a lot of CRC stuff to see if they've been, screwed up in any fashion. Okay? All right. So here we go. So we listens for activity. Detects activity. If there's no activity, we transmit. If there's a collision, say if there's no collision, we're done. But if it detected a collision, we wait. Okay? Stop transmitting jams, waits, then listens for activity again. So if we had a collision, we start all over again. Okay? But if it did detect activity, we wait and go all over again. So it actually works quite well. All right, collision domains is a portion of the network where collisions occur. We could have collisions in here because they're all on the same network. Okay, the collision domains basically says which ones do you communicate with. Would we be colliding with traffic from Google? On Google's network? No, it's a totally different network. It's like at your house, internal to your house is your collision domain. Okay? But with Cox Internet shared network, your entire neighborhood is a collision domain. Because once it leaves your cable modem, remember I told you last time how you're sharing with your whole neighborhood. Did anyone try that yet? Y'all need to try that. If I think about it, I'll hook mine up and capture some of the traffic so you can see it. Because mine's already wired, so I could. I just got to do it.
So you could say that's part of like a subnet, like one subnet.
It is. Your neighborhood is basically a subnet. So that subnet would be the collision domain, yes. Okay? All right. We could design it. We could have repeaters. They repeat collisions, kind of like an extension cord. Okay? Switches and routers help. Now, the cool thing about switches, like this switch here, say these two here wanted to talk. They would only be talking to each other. So these two could talk, those two could talk, those two, so a whole bunch of could talk at the same time. Because the switch is smart enough to know who to talk to. But if we all wanted to talk to Google at the same time, we'd all be going out the same cable, then we could have an issue. Okay, so switches and routers help with that. Okay, and the collision domain is different from broadcast. All right, so here we go. We could have a broadcast domain, but our collision domain could be in just this area because these are all on this switch port. Okay? So I can hear. We're all broadcasting, we all can see it. But collision-wise, our ports are separate. So if two of us wanted to talk, it wouldn't be interfering with anybody else. All right. Man, they added a lot to these slides. Okay. So we talked about affected by collision domains already. Okay? If it takes too long to get there, so in other words, if our cable's too long or it's going too slow, we can't determine them. Okay? So you got 100 or gigabit networks. It says 3 segments maximum connected by 2 repeating devices. What that means is we have 3 segments with 2 repeaters. Okay? You can actually have 5. Oh, the 5's on the slower one. Okay. 5 segments connected by 4. But you can only have a couple on there that have traffic. So let's see if we're breaking this rule. Okay, we're talking about the 10 and the 100. We have room 220, which is next door. Room 211, 214, and 201. Now we have a gigabit network. So we have 220, 211, 214, 201. Did we already break that rule? Yes, we did. So what does that mean? Does that mean our network doesn't work? It means we could have more collisions than normal. If we wanted to have the optimum network, we should separate it out even more. But, we're not going to do that. So, all right, so ours is not the most optimum. But other ones, a little bit better. Okay? All right, copper cable. Okay, IEEE, Institute of Electronics and Electrical Engineer. Okay, they specify the signals, they specify the lengths, they specify all that stuff. Specify the encoding, so the wiring requirements. The cool thing is when you develop something, you have to specify what you want to wire it with. Okay. One of my clients, I forget which one it was, hired out some wiring to be done years ago, and they basically went with the cheapest bidder. And they had cable that, remember we all made a cable? It was like orange and white, and blue and white. Theirs was orange and then white, and then blue and then white. So in other words, there was no striped wires. So you ended up with 4 colors and 4 whites. It made it very hard to do it, but it was the cheapest wire. And a lot of places will do that. It's kind of like our cleaning crew here. I'm assuming most of us in here have bought toilet paper one time in your life. When you buy toilet paper at the store, what do you buy? Does it matter the brand? I'm a guy. I could care less the brand. I look at the length and the cost. But for a lot of people, they go, oh, it's got to be double ply, whatever. But here, you really think we have double ply in the school? No, we have the absolute cheapest toilet paper. I don't know if you ever noticed it. It drives me crazy. It keeps getting narrower and narrower. Pretty soon it's going to be like a little 1-inch strip of toilet paper. I remember when I went through the military years ago. Anyone prior military? Well, obviously you are. When I went through basic training, they taught you everything from how to shave. They even told us how to use toilet paper. We could only use 4 squares. Did they teach any of that when you went to basic training? You can only have 4 squares per visit to the little stall. That was like weird. But I noticed that it's like our paper towel dispensers. Does anyone notice they keep switching? It's like, oh wow, we got this brand cheaper this month. Let's swap out all the paper towel dispensers, and it's crazy.
3C shell sitting there pretty soon.
It's crazy, yes. It's just nuts. But they come up with standards for this. Okay, so what is the standard for toilet paper? I don't know, but it's getting worse.
Tree bark.
Yes. Actually, the ones we have now, they come in the big roll, but there's no perforations on them, so you got to rip it. Yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about. Hopefully, unless you don't use it, I don't know. Okay. All right. 10 base T. 10 represents the throughput. Okay. 10 megabits per second. Okay. All right, base indicates a baseband. We have baseband and broadband. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. T is twisted pair. Okay? Twisted pair, you have transmit and receive. With that, you can actually do them at the same time. That will be full duplex. You can do one or the other, which would be half duplex. Okay? But if you're using both, transmit and receive is considered full duplex. That means I can talk and I can listen at the same time. Not all devices support that. Most do. So there's the 5-4-3 rule. 5 segments, 4 repeaters, 3 with stuff on it. If you develop for that, you should be okay. That's what we have in this area here. But again, that's really developed for 10 base T. We're really using 1,000 base T right now. But it still works. But if I had a commercial network, probably we would have a... Again, we don't have that many computers on these nodes either. All right, here's our network. Maximum length 100 meters, or 300 feet, basically. If y'all don't know how to convert, okay? So we can have 100 feet here, or 100 meters here, 100 meters, 100 meters, 100 meters, 100 meters. The reason they limit the number of repeaters, so how long would it take to get from workstation A to workstation B? Could take a while. And by adding a whole bunch of more switches in there, now can you imagine if we added 3 more hubs in there? That's going to be like... And what if these are actually hubs. So what a hub means, so this guy here, workstation A, transmits data. With hubs, who receives the data?
Everyone.
Everybody. A hub is just a repeater. It takes and broadcasts out to everybody. So the signal from A is going to this guy, and this guy, and this hub, and that hub, and that hub, and this guy, and this guy, and this guy. So in other words, while A is transmitting, nobody else can transmit. It kind of sucks. Okay? With switches, so let's say A was trying to talk to B, and we had a switch. So A would be talking to the hub. Would these guys hear about it?
If
No.
it's a hub.
If it was a switch.
Oh.
I'm sorry, if it was a switch, yeah. This guy transmits to the switch if it was a switch. The other two workstations wouldn't even hear about it. Now, obviously, this guy would hear about it, this guy and this guy would hear about it, and this guy would hear about it. But these two wouldn't be affected, and these two wouldn't be affected, so it'd be a little bit less. Okay? So switches help that.
Why is it different like that?
Each
Hubs,
port has its own bandwidth.
right. What happens is, well, first of all, hubs are older technology. They made them, and it was like, this stuff works. And then they came out with switches. Switches became very expensive. Does anyone remember, I know some of you are too young, anyone remember we had regular gas?
Yeah, the trucks.
Yeah, we had regular, then they came out with unleaded.
Yeah.
And now it's all unleaded. Well, we had hubs, then they came out with switches. Now it's all switches. Okay? So what happens is they finally realize, we're not really, should we really carry two anymore? But the way the switch works, I actually had to go through a module on this when I was up at University of Tulsa. Your machine, whenever you turn it on, you basically broadcast, hey, I'm out here. And the switch will recognize that. And the switch keeps track of it. So each port on the switch, it registers which connected to it. Okay? So obviously this port here is going to know about all these guys because they're all connected off of that end of it. And what ends up happening is the switches all end up working together, and we end up having one priority switch. It just makes it work much better. That way, when this guy wants to talk to this guy, this switch already knows where he's at. It's kind of like he's already read the entire address book. He's, oh, you want to go straight over there. Now, what happens if you swap cables? Well, the switches update. They sometimes take a while, depending on your switch. I've had switches that I've swapped the cable, won't work for nothing until you restart the switch. What that means is the routing table and the switch wouldn't update. I've had that issue. So that's one of those things. Nowadays, you don't have it so much. But olden days, it was like, if nothing else fails, restart the switch. Because they actually build a routing table based on what they detect. And sometimes you swap a cable, they don't detect the routing table change. And it's trying, these two are now swapped, but it can't get there because they think they're on the other channel. Kind of like you got someone else's phone number and you don't know what to do with it. So, all right. 100 base T, fast Ethernet, similar to 10 base T. Okay, we could do RJ45 like we have here. 100 megabits, baseband. Okay, all right. 3 segments, so we're less now. Okay. And with TX is 100 megabits throughput over twisted pair. How many wires do we use out of all this? These are 8 wires. Y'all remember that? How many do we use? 6. Actually, it's 4. 2 for transmit, 2 for receive. And if we're using power over Ethernet, we use 2 additional. So then we use 6. 1 and 3 work together. 2 and 6 work together. 4, 5 don't ever do anything. And 7 and 8 become power over Ethernet. So if you're really bored one day, you can actually, if you got network wire running somewhere and you want to connect something else that only needs 2 wires, you really could have a network and a phone all over the same cable because you're not using all of that. Okay? All right. So 100 TX, you can have throughput over twisted pair. Full duplex doubles it. Okay. All right. Here's our maximum length, 100, 100, 100. So we're limited to 3 sections. Again, you can have more than that like we do here. But does that guarantee it's going to positively work? No. Okay. All right. Now we have Gigabit Ethernet. Okay. 802.3. Let's see. Did I mention? There it is. Cat5 or higher cable. It's really Cat5e is what they recommend. That's the standard now. So the funny thing is, Cat6 is out and also Cat7's out.
Do you get any additional benefit besides the extra twist?
Not really. Cat5e still gives you gigabit transmission. It's kind of like, this is my opinion here, it's kind of like, we're talking different standards for Ethernet. No one's updated the standard. It's like they haven't figured out a way over any connectivity medium how to get more than a gigabit speed, other than fiber. But so all right. So got baseband again. Okay, T is twisted pair. They want Cat 5e or above. Okay. And standards can be combined up to 100. So it's basically the same. But and again, that's I'm surprised that doesn't say E. But normally E is what they recommend using for Cat 5.
What's the difference in 5 and 8?
I don't know. I've ran both, and I really couldn't see any difference. I don't know if it's quality of wire. I've worked with Cat 2 before. It's like, I don't know, it's like floss for your teeth, it seems like. And I've worked with I've never seen twisted pair wire that was the not solid, it was the stranded wires. So you know when you broke it, when you trimmed it and you had those 8 wires? Well, if you get them where each one of them is just a whole bunch of little strands. That's really weird to work with. I've seen a whole bunch of different wire, but I've worked with Cat 2, I've worked with Cat 4. I don't know if I ever worked with Cat 3. But I have 6 at my house. The only real difference between 5 and 6 is up the middle of the wire, there's like a pipe cleaner, and it's twisted, and the wires twist with it, so it keeps them uniformly twisted the entire way, so that they're perfect.
It's like double the price.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And is it really great? I don't use it enough to tell. I mean, how are you going to notice this? You know, I always get people come to me and says, "Well, I really want to get gigabit. What are you doing with it?" "Well, I'm connecting it from my house." "What kind of router you got?" "We get a link system, so you get a 10 megabit router. You want to have gigabit internal traffic, so there's always a slow component. Right now I have gigabit in my house. I have a 100 megabit router. So how fast can I possibly go? 100, that's it. A lot of the surfboard cable modems, those are 10 megabit cable modems. So I don't care if you got gigabit internal, 100 megabit, if you're going to surf the internet, what are you going to get? 10 megabit. So you really need to upgrade everything if you want to take advantage of this stuff. Now, internal though, yeah, it's great. Have gigabit internal. Like these switches, upgrade to a gigabit switch. So internal, we can transfer a lot faster. And on enterprise networks, a lot of your data is internal. Okay? So, you have a question?
No, you said these are all limited to 300 feet.
Yes.
So would this be something like backbone going into a switch or something?
Right. And here, the next hallway down, the hallway on the left, if you go down the second doorway on the hallway on the left, you see our switches in there. They fill the entire building. So you can do this entire building within 300 feet. So 300 feet is actually quite a long ways.
120 yards, goalpost to goalpost.
Yeah. So it's pretty darn far. But if you need to go farther than that way, then you put some sort of repeater in place. Or you go with fiber. Fiber can go farther. Okay, but we're still talking about the twisted pair here. Okay? All right. Now we have 10 gigabit. Okay? Pushing limits. This is where 668. Again, I've never seen anyone use this. And what ends up happening is if you want to go above the Cat 5e, then you normally go with fiber. Okay? Very fast, cheaper than fiber. Again, I've never seen anyone actually implement this. They usually just go to fiber. Okay. Connect network devices, connect servers and workstations. Okay? But, I don't know. I think our network cards here are all gigabit network cards. So I guess if I had a high power workstation or something, possibly. Okay? 100. Now we got fast Ethernet. This is through fiber. 100 megabits. Baseband through fiber optic cable. Okay? It says multi-mode fiber optic contain at least 2 strands. I think they talk about the fiber in a minute. If not, we'll talk about it. Half duplex, you have 1 strand. Full duplex, you have 2. Both strands for 2. Here's the length, 412 meters or 2,000 meters. That's pretty darn far. So we went from 100 meters. Now we're up to 2,000 meters. So what's 2,000 meters?
6,000 feet.
So yes, that's over a mile. So that's pretty good. But if you think about when you're driving, okay, we're driving up the turnpike to Tulsa. If we use this, so we're basically 6,000 some odd feet. So that means they got to have some sort of connecting device every mile.
Repeaters.
Some sort of repeater. Do they really have something like that? I don't know.
For fiber optics.
No, I mean, are they implemented up there? I mean, is there something every mile?
Oh,
I don't know.
Like those transatlantic fiber cables that go between North
Yeah, there's no way they can have something every mile. So I think there's other ways of doing it. I don't know. Yeah, what he said, y'all do realize there are transatlantic cables that literally connect continents together, and they get cut, and then they're kind of out to lunch. So, yeah, I was on the way back from Cozumel this last trip, and I've probably been in the Gulf of Mexico 15 times. I actually saw an oil well this time. We came close enough. I saw 2 oil wells. First time I've ever seen an oil well. I was like, wow. Because you know they're out there. I've never seen one. Especially when we had the oil spill recently. What was it 2 years ago? I was on a cruise right after that. Everybody was always looking. We never saw any oil. Like, where's this spill at? We never saw a drop. But no, I actually saw oil wells this time. Kind of cool. All right, Gigabit. Again, very fast baseband transmission. Okay, they talk about different wavelengths. I don't do much with fiber. I've seen how to put ends on it, but it's very difficult to do. Okay, single mode 5,000 meters, multi-mode 550 meters. So 5,000 meters. Actually, we went from 2,000 to 5,000. So we're basically talking 2 miles now. Okay, single mode and multi-mode. They might talk about here in a second, but think of a
5,000 meters is 5 clicks. That's 3.5 miles.
Oh, 3.5 miles? Nice. Okay, so think of single mode. It's basically one signal on the cable at a time. Multi-mode, you have multiple signals, kind of like your cable TV. So, but you can do more stuff with it. Because you can have a whole bunch of other people using it. Kind of, can you imagine if your cable TV only had one channel on it? Oh, you want another channel? Run another cable. Can you imagine that cable coming into your house? Yeah, didn't I talk about me getting rid of cable last time? Still haven't done it. But I did finally buy the season pass for Walking Dead. So I'm gonna go cancel my cable now because I paid $26 for the whole season.
Less than 1 month's bill.
Exactly.
Dish just got AMC back so we can watch Walking Dead.
Well, you have to subscribe to a package that includes AMC.
Right, but Dish just dropped it.
Oh, they dropped it?
They dropped it, and now they just got it back.
Oh.
Walking Dead's back on.
Oh, nice. Well, there's only two episodes anyway.
There's a website.
And and the cool thing is I bought it through my iTunes, so it's on my computer. It's on my phone, and my Apple TV automatically connects. I don't even have to turn the computer on; it automatically goes to there. So I was like, sweet. All right, let's continue on. Okay, basically a little bit farther, short wavelengths. Okay, I'm not a engineering dude. I know what voltage is, but beyond that, we're done. So sorry about that. All right, let's see. Highest frequency, okay, is this one here, the SX. Let's see, how far can this one go? This is shorter distances. 1 repeater, best suited for shorter network runs. And I don't do a lot of this, sorry. 10 gigabit fiber, pushing the limits. 10 gigabits per second, no more distance though. Again, these numbers are all an estimate anyway, because we know they're going farther and faster than that. Okay. All right, let's see what else we can learn. That's all we need to know about that slide. I do a lot with this. All right, there we go. 10,000 meters. That's the one we want. Long range, LR. That's what. Yeah, long reach. Okay. 10 miles. That's pretty. All right. So how long is that one? That's what, 10 miles, something like that. 6, 7 miles.
Yeah, just over 6 miles, maybe 6.5.
Nice. Oh. 25 miles. That's what we need. All right. So they're getting farther and farther. Okay. That's suited for WANs. Okay, there's our little chart. All right, here's the slower ones, and we get down into the faster ones down here. Maximum distance, 25 miles. Single mode fiber is what that one uses. Okay, wow. It's pretty special. Yeah, they even say 10 base T can support on Cat 3. I don't know if you want to do that, but you could. Okay. All right, multiple types of Ethernets on a WAN. They talk about your company. Basically, they can all connect differently. Like you guys have a whatever cable modem at your house, which connects into your ISP, which has a different type of connection, connects into their ISP. Like Cox, I would consider a national ISP, wouldn't you? They're nationwide, aren't they? Unless we're talking how they connect, which is then probably to AT&T or somebody. But but they can all connect at different speeds, different technologies, and you pay for what you get. Okay. Frames. We have a bunch of different frame types. Okay. Ethernet 2s. These two are pretty much the common right now. 802.2 and Ethernet 2 here. Okay. It's just different ways of encoding. And you can actually, let me see if we can see that. No guarantees here. I think I can see that. Okay, it's in here. Is it in here? Okay, let's see it in there, the encoding. Should be a frame type in here somewhere. All kinds of stuff. I don't see it. So there's the transmit and receive. It's under flow control. Okay, yeah, that's the full duplex, half duplex. No, I don't see it. Somewhere in here, though, there's frame type. I just do not know where it is. So could be these are auto or something. I don't know. But you used to be able to go into the configuration of your network card and set the frame type. Okay. All right. There's also using configuring for communications. Again, they're all pretty much done automatically now. Okay. We tried to look under the network card. We couldn't find anywhere. I think it's one of those things that's automatically set. Okay. It's important to know it. Well, I don't even know where it is anymore. So, did you see it, Daniel? No. So it used to be in there somewhere. It used to be a lot more settings. Okay. All right, different fields in there. They talk about basically an important one is the checksum. That's going to be looking for corrupt packets. Okay. Okay. Larger frame types, larger or faster throughput. Think of that like bags at your grocery store. If you have a little teeny tiny bag or a bigger bag, which one's going to be quicker to get the groceries out? Obviously the bigger bag because you can carry more at a time. Okay. All right. This is one of the common ones. Okay. And they just talk about the different frame. I'm not really worried about knowing the frame types. Now here's power over Ethernet. It goes over wires 7 and 8, Cat 5 or better. Okay. You have the source and the device. So if I wanted to take a Linksys router, just like you have at your house, and you want to put it up in your attic, how could you possibly do that? Well, you could use power over Ethernet. What you could do is you could get what's called an injector, and you basically plugs it into the wall. My thermostat has an injector. Okay, I plug it into the wall. Then my network cable connects to it, and it uses pins 7 and 8. Basically, put electricity on it. I think it's 3 volts is what mine has.
So the injector is basically like a transformer reducer.
Yes, I mean I've had some. We actually the ones we use the same field near. We actually took the. Remember when y'all made the wires? Well, we took out wires 7 and 8. But the one I have in my house, you actually just plug your network cable into it and come out of it. And what it does is it internally takes wire 7 and 8, puts power on it, then connects to the other end. And you just have a little adapter. But you can buy them. They're $20. Actually, let's find one. They're pretty cheap.
I think I found they were kind of expensive last year.
What did you say now?
I thought they were pretty expensive last year. When I was
They
on
shouldn't
website.
be. Come on. Oh, do y'all see this? Come see where the internet is? You can see where the internet lives. We can go to the places. Look at all that.
Yeah, that data center looks pretty sweet. It's
Yeah.
Google's data center.
These are all Google's data centers.
It's like an amusement park for nerds. It's awesome. I think I found what you were looking for.
You found it?
I think so. You're looking for the QoS packet scheduler.
I was really looking for the frame type. It'll be like Ethernet 2.
Oh.
You see that one?
Well, you have to install this packet scheduler. I don't know
But,
if
yeah, but you should still be able to see it on the configure area. I just don't know where the heck it is. Yeah, this is something new with Google today. Now, how do we get back to regular Google? Come on, give me regular Google back.
It's like throwing.
Come on. All right. Now we were looking for PoE injectors. All right. That's pretty much what they look like. Let me see if we can find one to buy.
too, right? Where's the shop?
Oh, duh, there was all the prices on the right. There we go. $28. This is an $18 one. But you can look at them like this. This is a normal one. What you do is you plug this into the wall, plug your cable in it, and it takes pins 7 and 8 and puts power on them. Then you buy the other piece that goes with it to do on the other end. But they're pretty easy to use. Yeah. But so $30 for a cheap one. Okay. All right. So you have the source and you have the powered devices, because it is kind of nice. Like all of our wireless access points, or even our telephones. This telephone right here has no power to it. How is it working? Well, it's working because of power over Ethernet. Our switch down the hall actually injects the power. So it's a special switch that injects on every wire, on every pin 7 and 8. So every single port down there on pin 7 and 8 has electricity on it. So when you plug in a PoE device like a telephone, it works like a champ. It gets power. So you can have all kinds of stuff. Now you can't use anything that requires massive amounts of power. You're not going to be running a computer off of that because it's too much. But 3 volt, 5 volts, that kind of stuff, you're fine.
So if you're running a VoIP phone in your house, you wouldn't, and you didn't pay for phone service, you just paid for internet, you wouldn't be able to get 911 service, correct?
Correct. Because even at Rose State, our phones are internal. But our phone system in the other building connects to Southwestern Bell. We actually pay for so many lines. Like, I don't know what this number is, but in my office, Roy's phone cannot call out. And it can't call in. It's internal only. But my line can call in and go out because you pay so much a line. So you can use them internal all day long, but if you want to go outside, then you got to still have phone service. All right? Yeah, it's kind of nice to use, called Power over Ethernet. Compatible with 802.3, which is Ethernet. The reason you know 802.3 is Ethernet, E is 3 backwards. So that's how I can remember it. There's a switch. This switch will inject power. There's injector devices. Oh, see, we just could have looked here. What ends up happening is you basically plug it in, and the other end has the power source. So it's kind of nice. So if you want to start getting PoE devices, you can. Down the hall for the camera, right outside of room 201, we had to stop using because we didn't have enough electricity in the ceiling. So Roy made a PoE adapter. He made it himself. Just took pins 7 and 8 and took apart one of the power adapter that came with the camera, cut the wire in half, and took one, because the power adapter that comes with the camera is only 2 wires anyway. He put them on pin 7 and 8, hooked to the camera, and did the other end. So you can make them yourself, or you can spend $30. All right, that's all this chapter. Yay! Surprised they didn't show the fiber optic cable.